The K-guard is a versatile attacking guard that allows you to be offensive against your opponent with sweeps, submissions, and back exposure. This guard will provide you with many offensive opportunities. When I enter the K-guard, my arm has a nice deep grip on their leg, my inside foot is connected to their hip, my outside knee is pointing up, and my hand is pushing them away. I push them away with my hand, I have my outside knee pointing up, my foot is connected to their hip, and my elbow is deep on their leg. This provides me with good control against my opponent for when I'm going to get ready to do my different attacks against them. From there, I like to take my foot, my outside foot, and put it on their armpit and their body so I can push them away even more and track them away even more with my foot, which then presents me with more opportunities to get attacks against them. So my outside foot pushes them away, my inside foot is connected to their hip, I have a nice deep grip on their leg, and this gets me ready to go for my different options. It's difficult to reach under your opponent's leg if they're sitting heavy on their base, so you have to create some space so that way you can reach underneath their leg to enter the K-guard. To create space under their legs, you should pull them in with your legs so then that way their hips come off of their heels. When you pull them in with your legs, you then have the ability to reach underneath your opponent and enter the K-guard more efficiently. So instead of just reaching underneath without lifting your knees forward, pull your knees forward, create that space, so then it's much easier to enter the K-guard against your opponent. You may not always have the option to push underneath your opponent's armpit to track them away. However, you can still push on their arm or their shoulder to create some space so then that way you can redirect them away with your hands. A big mistake that people make when they grab their opponent's leg is they grab too shallow of a grip and they're only wrist deep. If you grab their leg with too shallow of a grip, they can sprawl their leg back with more power. They also have the ability to slip their leg out much more easily if you have a shallow grip against their leg. You want to make sure you have a deeper grip against them. By having an elbow deep grip on their leg, which is a much deeper grip, it is much harder for them to sprawl their leg back and break your grip. It is also much harder for them to just do a leg slip against you. So when you get the grip on your opponent's leg, make sure you have a grip nice and deep with an elbow deep grip so that way you can really control their leg. When my opponent is low to the ground, I'll initially grab their leg with one arm and I'll track their body away with my other hand. This allows me to move them away and get a better angle against them. You don't need two arms when they're low against you. You can get an elbow deep grip with one arm and still control their leg. If they're standing over me and their legs are a little bit further away, I'll reach with two arms instead of one arm. This will allow me to get a better reach against their leg so in that way I can actually attach to them. So when they're standing over me, I will reach with two arms instead of one arm. Another mistake that people make is their inside foot is not connected to their opponent. Their foot ends up being loose. And if their foot is loose, their opponent can just take your inside foot, push it away, and easily work to pass your guard. When you have this position, if you don't have the foot connected, it makes it much more difficult for you to control the position. So ideally, you should have your inside foot connected as close to your opponent's hip as possible with a tight positioning against their hip. So that way, when they work to manipulate your inside foot, they can't just easily move it away and then work to pass your guard. And with your outside leg, you should avoid pointing your knee inward. If you point your knee inward, it's essentially going to collapse your legs and give your opponent the ability to push down on your leg and put pressure on your K-guard. This is another mistake that people make. They take their outside leg, they turn it in towards their opponent, and then essentially what happens, it becomes much easier for your opponent to put passing pressure against you. So instead, you should have your knee pointed upward of your outside leg so then that way they can't put pressure against you. It's also going to be much harder for them to control your leg and you'll have more mobility and freedom to put your foot on their body and create more opportunities against your opponent. So make sure you have your knee pointed upward so then that way they can't just put passing pressure down on you and you have more mobility with your leg so that way you can be more efficient. Another mistake that people make with the outside leg is they do not track their opponent away with their foot of their outside leg. By not tracking your opponent away, they can now turn into you and they can put more pressure against you. One of the main aspects of the K-guard is to create some distance against your opponent. So you want to put your foot on their body so you can track them away, make them face away from you because this is going to give you more opportunities to attack your opponent. Also, don't make the mistake of controlling your opponent's leg by the calf. It's going to make it much more easy for your opponent to just slip their leg out and do a leg slip. When you control your opponent's leg, you want to control it deep at the knee pit so that way you get much more control and it's going to be a lot harder for your opponent to just slip their leg right out. Entering the K-guard from the closed guard is one of the most common entries. You reach underneath their leg, push their body weight to get the angle, and then enter the K-guard from there. Also, if they lean back, you can push their shoulder hard to get more space so in that way you can still enter the K-guard. If they stand up, they're giving you a lot of space because you can reach under their leg when that space happens and you can get the proper angle to enter the K-guard position and then work your attacks. As long as you're close enough, it's easy to enter from a basic open guard for the K guard. You reach underneath their leg, you push them away, and you enter the K guard from there. If they go to pass around to the outside, you then reach with both arms so you could snatch up their leg and then enter the K guard from this outside passing situation. The tripod guard gives you great connections for you to reach underneath their leg, shift your body in a circular fashion so that way you can enter the K guard from this easy position. From sitting guard, you want to get a good grip on your opponent's arm, pull them close to you so then that way they can step forward as you spin around to enter the K guard position. Against the reverse Toriano, it's a situation where their legs are going to be a little bit further away. So once they work towards that north-south type position, you post on their body to keep frames and then reach with both your arms so you can snatch their leg in and pull them into the K guard position. With the reverse de la Riva, you want to kick their butt up, switch your feet through so then that way you can climb your way into the K guard position. You use the leverage of your feet to off-balance them, bring them over you, and then from there, you work your feet onto their hips so that way you can spin into the K guard. In the gi, if you have a collar grip with the de la Riva, this makes it much easier for you to work for the K guard against them. You can use the collar grip to keep their posture low for when you reach underneath their leg to switch to the K guard position from the de la Riva in the gi. Entering the K guard from the arm saddle is a great way to use upper body control to work towards your opponent's legs. So you work for an arm saddle against your opponent and you use that to then snatch up your opponent's leg and get the K guard. And a lot of people don't realize this, but even from double guard pull, you could switch to the K guard position. You have the double guard pull, you scoop underneath your opponent's leg, and then you lean down to enter the K guard against your opponent. The omoplata is a great way to enter the K guard. When you go for the omoplata, a common response is for your opponent to stand up to work to get out. When they stand up, they open up that space for you to go for the K guard position against them. This opportunity is actually available from many basic submissions from the guard. So for example, when I go for the triangle choke, another reaction that you might get is your opponent postures up and then they work to stand up. When they work to step their leg up, they're opening up that space for you to enter the K guard. And if you go for an arm bar, you're very likely to get a very common response again when your opponent works to step their leg up. So as you're attacking for these different submissions, when your opponent works to step their leg up, they're opening up their leg for you to enter the K guard position and then work additional attacks against them. In this example, you'll see the Kimura. Your opponent will then possibly work to step their leg up, you reach underneath their leg, and then you can enter the K guard, and now you can work your K guard system against them. The K guard provides you with the opportunity to get the close guard on your opponent. It's not always the easiest thing to get a close guard on someone. So the K guard provides you a path to do this because you connect your legs well to your opponent, which then allows you to slide your legs open and get the close guard. Even when your opponent's standing, the K guard gives you the opportunity to get your foot on your opponent's hip so then that way you can connect to them, raise your hips up, and then shoot to the close guard. So the K guard is a wonderful option to get a close guard against your opponent so that way you now have this tool. Another great position that you could switch to from the K guard is the X guard. Essentially, a K guard is half of an X guard. So this provides you with an easy ability to switch to the X guard and then provides you with many attacks that you can do against your opponent. Whether your opponent is low to the ground or standing, the X guard is there for you to use from the K guard. So it is definitely recommended that you don't just play the K guard alone, you pair it up with the X guard because you'll have a strong system to work with. The reverse close guard is a very tricky guard to switch to, but it's very effective against your opponent. You get the K guard position, you switch the configuration of your legs, you shoot your legs open, close your legs around your opponent, and you get the reverse close guard on them. And very often, a very strong toe hold opportunity is going to be available to attack against your opponent. An underutilized sweep from the K guard is to simply put your feet on your opponent's body and push them away. When you do this, very often it will collapse them down. You can then configure your legs outward to build up so that way you can complete the sweep. Also, if you're working to get the K guard and your opponent sits down, all you have to do is work to roll over their leg and then get up to a sweeping and passing position. So you go for the K guard position, they work to defend by sitting down to do a leg slip. And when they do that, you roll your body over their leg, get up and sweep them, and very often end up in a pass. As mentioned previously, the K guard works very well with the X guard. So when you work for the K guard, the technical stand-up sweep is very often right there. You work to get into your K guard positioning, you switch to an X guard position, and then you build up to a technical stand-up, and then you sweep your opponent. Now very often your opponent is going to fall down onto their butt and you can get the sweep. If for some reason they stay on their hands, you could pull them backwards and then attack their back. So with this option, you have a very strong sweeping opportunity against your opponent, so then that way you can not only sweep them, you can then possibly attack their back as well. The star sweep from the K-guard can be a tricky sweep to do against your opponent if they stand up in reaction to you entering the K-guard. When they work to stand up inside your K-guard, they provide space for you to basically do a back roll, peek your head in between their legs, keep control of their leg, and as you stand up, you lift their leg up, switch your grip, and then sweep them down to the ground. So they stand up, you do a back roll, peek your head through, lift their leg up, switch, and then sweep them down. The belly down ankle lock is one of the many leg lock options you have from the K-guard. You go to a backside 50-50 position, you feed their ankle underneath your arm, and then from there you get a belly down position and you drive your hips downwards so you can create the pressure. So you get the position, reach around their leg, put their leg in your armpit, put the pressure down and ankle lock them. With the backside 50-50 heel hook, your outside leg laces over, get in between their legs, then you pull their leg up and snatch their heel into position. You want to have your body facing downward with your head to the ground, so in that way it's harder for your opponent to work to roll out and force you into other leg lock situations. Now, if they do back step, you do have the option to switch to the regular 50-50 heel hook. So you work for the backside 50-50 heel hook. Your opponent does a back step, you follow them, and then work to attack their heel on the inside with a regular 50-50 heel hook. This is a very common reaction that your opponent will give. You go for the backside 50-50, they back step, and instead you switch to the regular 50-50 instead. Another counter option to the back step instead of the regular 50-50 is going to the double 50-50. So instead of ending up in a regular 50-50, you step your other leg over their thigh so that way you don't end up in an equal position where they can also attack your leg from a true 50-50 position. This creates a stronger situation for you. And to make this situation even more powerful for you, when your opponent goes a step back and you work to switch to the double 50-50, instead of keeping your legs crossed, your top leg feeds even deeper, and then from there you go belly down and work them back into a backside 50-50. But this is much stronger because you fed basically into a much deeper double 50-50 situation, and now you can get a better bite against your opponent, and it's going to be much harder for them to counter or defend your heel hook by rolling. If you're someone who really likes the 411 or saddle position, when your opponent goes to backstep against your backside 50-50, you can also switch to the 411 saddle position instead. So they go to step back, you bring your leg over their leg from the outside, and now you can get them in the double trouble position and then work for your 411 heel hooks against them. So when they go to backstep, you do have the option of basically working towards the 411. The 411 saddle position is also available when you enter the K-guard and your opponent basically forces you into an inversion situation. When you go for the K-guard and they stack over you, you can spin underneath them, throw your outside leg over their thigh, continue spinning through, and then transition to the 411 saddle position against them. This is a tricky scenario where your opponent may not be ready to deal with this because there's a lot going on. So when your opponent goes to hover over you when you enter the K-guard, you spin underneath them, bring your leg over, and then enter the 411 saddle position against them. And don't forget that you always have the knee bar option when you go for the K-guard. When you're essentially entering the K-guard, you're putting yourself in a situation where knee bars are basically right there for you. So you enter the K-guard, you then bring your leg over, hold their heel, switch over to attack the knee bar. Another leg lock option from the K-guard is the calf slicer. You bring your outside leg over behind their knee, tip them down by grabbing around their waist, and then you triangle your legs and then drive your legs forward up towards the ceiling so that way you can put pressure on their knee. So you hook underneath their leg, bring your leg over behind their knee, hug around their body, lay down, drive your knees forward, and then lock them up in this position. This is a highlight reel leg lock that you can do against your opponent from the K-guard position. When you have the K-guard, if your opponent puts their hand on your hip, you can hit them with a shotgun armbar by grabbing their elbow with your hand, pulling their hand into your armpit, and then throwing your leg over the head to lock their arm up. A very quick arm lock you can do against your opponent when they put their hand on your hip is the butterfly arm lock. So they put their hand on your hip, you grab their elbow with your hand, butterfly their arm, square up with them, and then drive your hips up to put pressure on their elbow. It's very common for an opponent to reach the outside foot of a K-guard position. When this happens, you swing your leg wide open, which then gives you the ability to reach their elbow. And after you grab their elbow, pull their arm in, put their hand in your armpit, and go for an arm lock. As you're entering the K-guard position, if you're able to get your outside leg swung far out to the front of your opponent's arm, you may have the ability to switch back forward to go for a triangle attack against them. You also have the option of going for a reverse triangle instead of a regular triangle. By going for the reverse triangle, this can provide you with options for additional attacks. The reverse triangle is strong in the sense that you can go for things like arm locks, fist chokes against them, and you could also go for omoplatas. So the reverse triangle is a good option to have in combination with your triangle attack from the K-guard position. And very often, given the nature of the angle of the K-guard, you can enter an omoplata. When you go to angle off, hook underneath your opponent's leg, swing your legs up to go for the K-guard, there's going to be many times where your opponent's near side arm is going to be available for you to just shoot up for an omoplata. So as you enter the K-guard, check to see if an omoplata is available, so then that way you can go for a submission instead. The K-guard is a great guard to get back exposure against your opponent. Just working to enter the K-guard very often angles your opponent in a way to where you could build up and attack their back from the basic position entry. So when you go for the K-guard, see if you can sit up, hook your arm around their waist, and then work to attack their back instead of going for other attacks against them. A way to surprise your opponent and get back exposure is as you're entering the K-guard, you then do a back roll over their leg. And very often when you do this back roll, they're still going to be on their hands and knees in a turtle position to where you can work to attack their back from there. The baby bolo back take is an option that experienced K-guard players like to use. So when you go for the K-guard, you bring their leg over your body so that way you're now behind them. You grab around their hips, and when you do that, you bring your knees behind their legs, kick their legs outward so that way you can sit them down. So you get the K-guard, bring their leg over your body, bring your knees in, sit them down, and take their back. To do the no-gi matrix, you take your outside leg, wrap it around the back of their leg, then you take your arm, bring it around their waist, and then you'll be able to get back exposure. Sometimes you can sit them down, and then many times your opponent's going to stay in like a turtle position to where you can then work to a jump and attack their back from there. So you bring their leg around, get around their hip, and then work to build up into the matrix. This is a great way to get back exposure from the K-guard position and then get a dominant position against your opponent. There's also the gi matrix, which tends to be stronger than the no-gi matrix because you can grab the belt and you can scoot your body away. So you have the De La Hiva, you switch to the K-guard, you grab their belt, and then from there you clear your leg out, scoot your body away, so in that way you can come back inside and get behind your opponent to expose their back. So you're going for the De La Hiva, you get the K-guard position, bring your leg behind their leg, grab their belt, scoot back, and then work to take their back. Thank you for watching. For more details on the K-guard, be sure to visit the Grapplers Guide website. Be on the lookout for more Jiu-Jitsu in Minutes videos. For more videos like this, please subscribe to our YouTube channel and click the bell icon. Thank you.